welcome to the Showy Caesar Show. Gonna try and get going with this from now on. And I thought it'd be appropriate to do Revolver by the Beatles, 1966. Why? Because push comes to shove, it's my favourite album of the Beatles. Now, a lot of things going on in 1966. The Beatles are starting to give up touring. Their last tour will be in 66 at Candlestick Park. And I'm going to concentrate on just recording in the studio. Across the pond in America, another man had given up touring, named Brian Wilson. I'm not doing any more touring. I want to just go in the studio and produce. He produced Pet Sounds. Pretty good. And he, of course, he listened to the Beatles' Rubber Soul, right? And he thought, wow, that's like it's all intertwined. It's like a story. It's like a narrative. I'm going to do that. So the Beatles heard, and I think Paul McCartney was the first to hear Pet Sounds and took it back to England. And they listened to it. Even John listened to it and went, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We're in serious trouble here. A lot of, Dylan had Blonde on Blonde out. Frank Zappa, the Mothers of Invention, had Freak out. There's a lot of Jefferson Airplanes Takes Off album that just come out. There was a lot bubbling under the surface that would eventually explode into 1967. Now, I came across the Beatles when I was about 18, I think. Well, I came across Revolver, when I was about 18. I got the record and I got the cassette. And I loved it because it was all in stereo. Didn't like the mono mix. And then they brought out CDs. I'm going to give my age away here. In the late 80s, early 90s, especially late 80s for me. And they butchered it. They butchered the mastering because they would just record straight to CD, scratches and all. They didn't realise it was remastering. Pete Townsend of The Who was furious. He wouldn't let them do it anymore. He wanted to do it. So I'm remastering the albums from now on. Because the track would come out mono, guitar parts would be buried, Paul's bass would be buried in the mix, Ringo's drums would disappear. It was terrible, it was atrocious. And so a few years later, let's skip for a few to the 90s, into the ooze. Let's get into the ooze. And they finally decided to remaster all the albums one by one. And they brought out every Beatles album remastered. This is the remastered Revolver. Don't ask me what year. This has got like the mini doco on it. If you put it in your computer, it's got the mini doco. It's got all information. It's got a great booklet, everything. It was really well done, and it was well remastered, well done, remastered. Show you a little bit. Show you a little bit. Still got this one. Ringo between takes. It was well. They were well done. It was a good series. It was really well done. They thank you, lucky stars. So yeah, they remastered it way better. I'm a bass player, and I get with Paul's bass. Where is it? Where could it be? And then a few years later, they announced the deluxe box set. Have to have that. Have to have this deluxe box set. I don't know if you can see down here. It's very hard in this light. Revolver's down there somewhere in raised lettering. I don't know if you can see it. It will even come out. Actually, it's very hard. A lot of people can see it. I need my glasses. Excellent artwork done by Klaus Voormann. Got to meet the man himself, Klaus Voormann, from the Hamburg days. He got the call up to do the cover because Robert Freeman, they didn't like what he was doing. They were like, same old man. The same old. So you can get, I don't know if you can still get, this is the CD set. You can get the vinyl, you can get the downloads, you get the single set, all you want. Here we go. The original mono masters, the new stereo mix, plus the single of Paperback Writer backed with Rain. There's no way they could perform Rain live. You find out why when you listen to the outtakes. Well, that was going to be the original album cover for there. Let's try and take it out for you. That was going to be the original album cover for Revolver. They kind of didn't like it. They went, maybe we'll get an outside artist. So they got, like I said, Klaus Foreman. And they're the outtake sessions. They're when I want to be a fly on the wall. That's what I listen to. How they're recording the songs. I love it. I love how they record this. It's like you're like a fly on the wall. I love it. Of course, we've got the big book. The huge big book. Yummy, yummy. I'm doing this because Paul's going to tour Australia, probably for the last time, surely, with the Got Back tour. But that's another story. That's another story, guys. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. To be a fly on the wall. Yeah, forward by Paul McCartney. I'm not going to show you everything. A lot of things going on. The video, then the video for Paperback Writer, and Rain if you got the anthology DVD set. The promo for Ed Sullivan show. That's the promo for Ed Sullivan, because they weren't gonna. They said, well, we'll just do a video and send that out. We don't need to go out no more. They were pioneering MTV. What do you like the Beatles, Justin? Because they did everything first. They invented everything first. Look at that. Cool, man. And I'm recording this like a day after the celebration of John Lennon's birthday. Bad time in the world at the moment. If you look at the news. Aftermath. Paul, look, he's listening to Aftermath by the Stones. Hey, not a bad album. I mean, they'd given Aftermath to the Beatles, and the Beatles said, here's an acetate of Revolver. And they went over and they're all sitting there, Matt Jagger, Keith Richards, Marianne Faithfull, they put it on, they're all thinking, oh great, we got a great album with Aftermath. Then they listened to Revolver, and Keith Richards went, so what are we going to do now? What are we going to do now, guys? We have to get more experimental. Oh no, we're going to get experimental. Lyrics to Eleanor Rigby. Oh, great book. Fantastic. Still reading it. I Want to Tell You by George Harrison. Let's talk about George Harrison. Let's talk about the tracks, shall we? Let's talk about, oh no, firstly, Mojo, when that came out, also Mojo magazine, put out a special edition. You got the, I got the postcard with it. I framed it and everything. It's in my bedroom, so you're not going to get to see it. So they did a special on Revolver. If you can get a back order, I highly recommend it. John being John. My favourite Beatle. So yeah, that was well done too. Let's talk about the album though. Let's talk about his album. First track, Taxman, George Harrison. I think John liked that track because that's when George found out, oh, I'm paying a lot more money. They're taking my money. They're taking money from me. So right, Taxman. That was going to be, it was rumoured to be, it was going to be the lead single of this album. And their manager, Brian Epstein, went, no, it's got to be Lennon McCartney. Can't have it. It was going to be Taxman backed with Eleanor Rigby. not to be. Eleanor Rigby next. If you watch the anthology, do you guys have plans to record by yourself? And they go, we have, haven't we? Paul's just singing and we're sitting around drinking tea. Well, there's a string quartet on Eleanor Rigby. The others aren't there, they're just listening. They're not even playing on that record. I'm Only Sleeping, John Lennon. Love You Too, George Harrison gets another cut. Here, There and Everywhere. Oh, John loved that song. I do too. I think pretty good song. Not a song couldn't do live, but I don't think they ever performed it live. I don't think they could with the limited technology they had then. Still a great song though. Yellow Submarine, written by Paul. Another song that he dreamed about. Another song he dreamt of yesterday, and he dreamt Yellow Submarine, and he goes, John's singing it. And Paul goes, well, I don't know, let's give it to Ringo. Give it to Ringo. So that would become the single, the lead single of his album. Yellow Submarine, back with Eleanor Rigby. She said, what can I say without being demonetized or getting into trouble? Taking a certain drug, and who was it? I don't know if it was Jane Fonda. It was one of the Fondas. It might have been one of the Fondas. So Peter Fonda said something like that while he was going into the stratosphere. I think he said, I know what it's like to be dead or something. John went, what? Good Day Sunshine. Oh well, that's John just go. I've heard Love and Spoonful. I'm just going to write Love and Spoonful song. It's purely a Love and Spoonful song. You know, so John Sebastian and Love and Spoonful. I can write that. and your bird can sing. John goes, throwaway track. I love it. He goes, throwaway. Just made up on the spot. Throwaway, just filler. It's filler. So that's filler. That's filler. So I could write a track like that. Was filler. Yeah, in later interviews, piece of rubbish. John, why? Stop doing that for no one. Another great song from Paul. Paul stands out on this album big time. Paul comes to the forefront here. Another song they can't perform live. And another song that John says, well done, Paul. Dr. Robert, talking about a certain substance that would influence Sgt. Pepper and a few other albums in '67. I want to tell you, I want to tell you, yeah, that's right. I want to tell you, George, purely George again with his Indian mysticism, playing the sitar a lot on here, on this album. Played the sitar a bunch on here, probably too much I feel. Another cut. Got another cut. Get you in my life. John going, yeah, another song that Paul wrote while going into the stratosphere. And my favourite track, although it's painfully short, love it. Don't like the anthology version. I love this version. I love the stereo version. Tomorrow Never Knows. Originally going to be called The Void, but Ringo said something like, Tomorrow Never Knows, John. What? But push comes to shove, my favourite album, Revolver. I mean, I've got the deluxe set. I've got this big deluxe set that I absolutely adore. I love it. Love it. Still listening to it. Haven't stopped listening to it on Spotify. Listen to it on Spotify. I love it. My and I'm still reading the book, still getting through the book. But from now on, I'm going to do albums, books, CDs, games, whatever. So comment down below. What's your favourite Beatles album? Subscribe. Do all the things. Ring the bell. Blah 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 blah. Once again, this is the Showy Caesar Show. Signing out. Bye bye.